So, winning Olympic medals takes a few key ingredients. You need a reasonable amount of talent, a huge amount of self-awareness, heaps of determination, and the ability to motivate yourself day in, day out, no matter what. Once you've won a gold medal, it should seem simple enough to do it again. You turn up with the same team, the same type of boat, the same huge stage, and the same preparation. There's just one thing that's different. 4 years have gone by, and in that 4 years, everything else has changed. I want to take you back almost 10 years ago. I was hugely motivated, desperately excited. I was 20 years old, and I'd do almost anything to get to the Olympic Games and realised my dream of winning an Olympic gold medal. Motivation came to me in bucket loads, even during some very hard years when my dream was all but gone because I didn't have a sailing partner, which in a two-person boat is a fundamental problem. I wasn't going to get very far, but it didn't matter to me. I knew that I had to be the best I could be. I had to work hard, sail with anyone I could for training camps and competitions, and perhaps blindly reasoned that something would come along. And come along it did. Saskia Clark, 8 years my senior, someone that I had looked up to and idolised as being the perfect teammate, split from her sailing partner 18 months out from London 2012, and I literally jumped at the opportunity. We had a whirlwind 18 months, which absolutely flew by, from selection trials to getting selected, to potentially getting deselected from the London 2012 Olympics, but that's a different story. To preparations and the games themselves. We barely had time to stop and take stock of things that I can honestly say we won an Olympic silver medal through sheer determination and the ability to thrive in the bizarre bubble that is the Olympic Games. Post-London was potentially one of the lowest points in my life so far. We went from riding the highest high imaginable for 2 weeks to hitting the ground with an almighty bump. We hadn't won gold, and I was absolutely devastated. I was completely broken, mentally drained, and felt like a complete failure. Sass and I actually took almost a year to decide whether we'd even go for Rio 2016. Did we want to go through all that again? Whether we could face the disappointment if we didn't succeed a second time? We had so many questions to answer and evaluate before we could even begin planning what our campaign would look like. Ultimately, at this point, only gold would do. And we needed to take stock of what was successful from our London campaign and what wasn't. Do we have what it takes to make the changes required? Can we stay ahead of the competition and overhaul the current gold medalists, the Kiwi girls? But the biggest question of all, are we motivated to do it? Because if not, there's simply no point in even trying. You could tick all the boxes in the world, but if the motivation isn't there, you'll stumble and ultimately fail. So Rio 2016, well, it was quite a journey, and unfortunately I haven't got enough time to go into it too much, but there will be questions at the end if anyone has any. So my motivation in 2014 was at an all-time low. I just didn't see the point in it all. I was questioning everything, life, the universe. I guess you know how it goes. I hated traveling and being away. I was constantly living out of a suitcase and struggling financially. The Olympics seemed miles off, and there wasn't even a guarantee we would get another medal, let alone win the gold. I could be wasting a whole heap of time, money, and energy on something, and for what? Why? Why? Why would you do this? Why would you put yourself through this? Why became the most powerful question I would ever learn to answer. Once I knew my own personal why, the reasons I was doing this, what I enjoyed about it, and what I didn't enjoy about it, my drivers in life, and what I believed in as a person, it suddenly became about more than just winning a gold medal. It became about being able to achieve my own life values, goals, and beliefs through what I was doing on my Olympic journey. I was able to realise what was important to me and what I was lacking at times of low motivation. The slide up now is some of the work I did with our team psychologist, which lists my personal values. It's what's important to me as a person. And if I'm lacking any of these things for a sustained period of time, I'll start to lose motivation and become completely disengaged. Of course, there are times in life where you just have to knuckle down and get on. But knowing what I needed to be happy was a huge turning point and gave me the skills to be able to get out of a rut, re-energize myself, and take control of my motivation. Usually, when I was exhausted or over it or fed up of the lifestyle and the routine, then it would be time. Time with my friends and family, time for myself. Whereas if we were in a long training period without any competitions coming up and ways to mark ourselves against others, it would be the feeling of ambition and success that would be lacking. I'd give myself small measurable goals each day which would alleviate the feeling of not achieving or to help generate small successes along the way. So Rio 2016, well, what did we do to get ahead and how do we stay ahead? Saskia and I made some fundamental changes to our campaign for Rio. Yes, we improved our sailing skills, our technical setup of the boat and sails. We were fitter and stronger. But what do I believe actually made the difference? Well, it boils down to a few key things. Firstly, knowing, understanding, and believing in our team. Sass and myself, but also our coach Joe, we had psychologists and physiologists, the people who facilitate and make it happen for us behind the scenes. We chose so carefully the people we wanted to be involved in our campaign. We knew why we wanted them and what we thought they would add. We then made absolutely sure that they were bought in too. They had to know the why we were doing it, what we wanted to achieve along the way, how they could add value, and what we saw the value in them was. Secondly, communication. We spent an awful lot of time in a room with a psychologist. Now, there's a huge stigma in the UK, and definitely within sport, about psychology. It is starting to change, but it used to be perceived weak to use a psychologist, and that you were a little mental, perhaps, if you needed one. But I had such a strong belief that if Sass and I could communicate clearly and effectively with each other and with our team, under a massive amount of pressure, such as the Olympic Games, then it would give us a huge advantage over the rest of our competition. We'd make clear, informed decisions around the race course and adapt to every situation that evolved on and off the water. The third and final thing that I think is probably the most important thing of all was the ability to prioritise. There are so many things you could do in an Olympic campaign, so much you could spend energy on, going down pathways of technical discovery, trying to find something that's slightly faster or slightly quicker, might add 1% of speed difference, but it's taken up 80% of your time and left no time for anything else. There's never enough time to do everything you need to do, and I highly doubt anyone reaches the start line of an Olympic Games thinking they've done everything they needed to do and wouldn't want another day, week, or month to make a few things different. If they did, then I really doubt they'd have the understanding of what's required in the first place. Sass and I reached day one in Rio with a huge amount that we hadn't managed to get ticked off, but we had full confidence that in the time we had available, we'd prioritised, strategised, reviewed and planned exceptionally well. I want to finish my short talk with one final thought, and this is about the few moments before competing in Rio and what ultimately I believed made the difference in the outcome of the week. Imagine this. You've done all of the work you possibly could towards a goal. You've had an incredible journey for over 6 years with your team, Saskia and Joe. You wanted desperately to achieve a gold medal together, and the day before the event arrives. I got to this day, and I felt disengaged and withdrawn. And luckily, I realised that my mind had tried to detach itself from the situation. I was in fight or flight mode, and all I wanted to do was tell myself that it didn't matter that much, and it's fine if we didn't achieve what we wanted to do. I was completely detached from the situation. However, I've learned from past experiences that though this ultimately results in a poor, half-hearted performance, and I had the skills to recognise this, and the day before racing began, I took myself away, I sat in a room, and I visualised. I visualised what it would feel like at the end of the week if I hadn't given it my absolute all, if I hadn't gotten myself mentally in the right place to deliver my best performance, if I just let these feelings take over me of disengagement and it didn't really matter. I managed to motivate myself and get myself in the right place, and ultimately we won an Olympic gold medal. Thank you very much.